Tobias Harris. Today, I'll tell you why I believe Tobias Harris is going to have a breakout season for the 76ers this year.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Moment more. Visit FanDuel. And what I mean by that is, look at it. Right now, I know Tobias was the fourth option, if you want to say it, last year. But there's two reasons I want to say he's going to have a big one. I think that, right about now, I think that you got, it's actually three reasons. The first one is Nick Nurse, right? You have a coach in Nick Nurse who utilizes, and we talked about this before, he's had a lot of success in utilizing Tobias Harris prototypes. And what I mean by that is guys who are 6'9", 6'8", 6'10", power forwards who are extremely athletic, the new wave type of forwards, right? That's what Tobias is. People forget before Tobias Harris came here, he was a number one option, right, for the Clippers. When he was in Detroit, he was a top two option, right? Everywhere he's been before he came here, he was always one of the top options, and he was a fringe all-star. I mean, especially his last year with the Clippers before he was traded. And, I feel like he's going to get opportunities and options. And I, have some stuff that I would love to share with y'all so you guys could see why I feel this way. But in addition to that, secondly, the thing is, it's a contract season. The last time Tobias Harris had a contract season was also that last year with the Clippers, and the brother was balling. I mean, balling. He ended up getting $180 million from the Sixers. Was nobody complaining about when he signed that contract? No one was complaining when he was traded to the Sixers because they saw what he was doing with the Clippers, right? And then thirdly, I think the fact that, we could see less of James Harden. Also, if James Harden is traded, I think that with those two things, it's going to elevate Tobias Harris's usage, right? So his usage rate is going to get a little bit higher. He's going to, do more things. And I feel like he's going to take advantage of all that. Now, the one thing is that, a lot of people, I don't know if people were talking about it last year, but okay, last year, I'm going to give it to you. So let's talk about his stats. People are talking about that. Tobias Harris averaged 14.7 points last season. That was his lowest total since the 2015-16 season with the Orlando Magic. In 49 games with Orlando before he was traded to Detroit, Tobias only averaged 13.7 points, right? On the year, Tobias shot 89, talking about last season, he shot 39.9% from three. He averaged 5.7 rebounds, 2.5 assists, right? Now, he did become a better defender. I mean, he was like right below one steal a game. I mean, it's crazy. He was 0.9 steals per game, right? He's played and started in 74 games, and he had he played in 32.9 minutes. Now, here's the one thing. There was a stretch when it was a stretch of 26 games where the Sixers' big three of James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, and Joel Embiid missed at least one of those games. One of those players were out in at least one of those games, 26 games in a row. There was times where all three were out. There were times when two of them were out, this and that. Now, Tobias played in 23 of those games because he missed back-to-back games with an injury. Then he had another game where he was injured. Now, his scoring total was, average rather, was 17.8 points. He shot around the same from three, 38.8. He averaged 6.2 rebounds, 2.8 assists, and 1.2 steals, right? Um, from the field, Tobias shot 50% overall from the field. From the foul line, he was 87.8%. I mean, Tobias was balling. Either he was the leading scorer or he was amongst the top three, but he was also amongst the top three in assists and everything that was going on, right? Rebounds. He had a couple double games, that time. One in particular was against Orlando, where Tobias had 23 points. He had 10 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, So, and then there was a game at the Hornets where he had 19 points and he had like two blocks, right? So I'm saying this to say, like, this guy, when given the opportunity, he can ball. He can. And I honestly believe that, like I said, it's going to come a point where he's going to show everyone what he can do, and he's going to get more opportunities. And I think that that's going to be a benefit for the Sixers, right? Tobias can play. It's just that he's a high usage guy, typically, that you take and you took the ball out of his hands, and then all of a sudden he gets limited opportunities. Well, he's not that type of guy. He has to feel involved. And the thing about it is that doesn't always involve him, how should I say it, gunning. No, he gets touches. He's the prototypical passing up a good shot for a great shot to give the ball to a teammate to make a great shot. That's Tobias Harris in a nutshell, right there. That's him. That's him. So, I feel like the things that I just shared with you, and I got some more stuff to talk about. Those right there are things that's going to, show you that with a more involved role, Tobias is going to take off this season. And I know a lot of people like hating. Oh man, he had opportunities. He blew bunnies. He did this. He did that. Yeah, of course, people are going to hate. I mean, that's just what we do, right? I mean, that's what fans do. That's what everyone does, right? We find the negative, but sometimes we got to understand the situations that a player is put in, and does that enable you to excel? Now, hey, there's been some games now that he had some clunkers. Now, but there's been some games where Maxey had some clunkers. James had some clunkers. Joel had some clunkers. So it goes with that. But I'm just here to say I think the brother is going to have a big year this year. I really do. I think he's going to have a big year. I think that everything is set up for him to have a big year. And, I think I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what he does. Because let's face it, my man wants to get paid. Everyone wants to get paid. And I think that it's going to be one of those things where this is going to be the season that's going to set it up for my man to get another contract next year, right? It's going to be the season that's going to set him up to get another contract. And I believe he's going to take advantage of all that and then some, right? That's what they say, all that and then some. But look, I want you to take advantage of FanDuel. Football season is about to kick off, and FanDuel is giving you a chance to win all season long. Because right now, when you bet on the Super Bowl winner, you can get bonus bets every time they win in the regular season. Just pick any team to win the Super Bowl, and you'll get bonus bets for every victory. You can use your bonus bets on spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit fanduel.com/lockedon and start earning bonus bets with America's #1 sportsbook. That's fanduel.com/lockedon. Take time to visit FanDuel and include your money line, props, etc. on any team. I'm telling y'all, do that today, people. It's a real rap. Definitely do it today. Now, here's another thing that I wanted to bring up to y'all about Tobias, right? So when we talk about last year, being not last year, but his final year with the Clippers was a contract season. And when you look at it, Tobias, that particular year he played in 55 games before he was traded to the Sixers. That season, he had those 55 games, so not the whole season, but the whole season was he averaged a career high 20 points. But with the Clippers, Tobias Harris averaged 20.9 points. He shot 43.4 from three, which is a career best, right? He shot 49.6 from the field, right? He averaged 7.9 rebounds, which is it's not a career high, but I believe that's his second highest total of his career. He averaged 2.7 assists, right? He played in 34.6 minutes. He was balling. I'm telling you, he was balling. So when you look at that, he's in line to have another phenomenal year. I mean, real rap. But then also, I think this is something about Tobias that a lot of people don't know, right? So I already gave you what his stats were for last season overall, right? So, and for the ones who forgot it, I'm gonna give them to you again. With his stat, he averaged 14.7, right? He averaged 5.7 rebounds and 2.5 assists. But the year before that, right, he averaged 17.2, right? He averaged 6.8, right, rebounds and 3.5 assists, right? Now, when you look at his career as a Sixer, now this is just as a Sixer, he's averaging 17.7 points, 6.6 rebounds, and 3.1 assists. So we're just talking about his career as a 76er. And those numbers, a lot of people haven't been able to do that at a particular time, right? They just haven't. And but so I'm just saying he's been extremely consistent. And then he was one of the elite two-way players this last season, right? It was only he ranked in the 80th percentile and and uh, and points per possession, points scored from the perimeter, the amount of defenders spent guarding and the highest usage rate, right, and also in breaking down how often players guard every position. I mean, he rated in the 80th percentile with that, right? When we want to talk about as far as two ways, here you go. And defensive position versatility, that's 81.9. You got like other guys like Steph Curry, but you don't expect him to dominate. He was 73.7. But a guy like Donovan Mitchell was 74.2. Tyrese Halliburton was 76.6. Dame 77. Bogdanovich was 78.3. But then when you look at where he ranked second at was in percentage of defensive tier usage rate, like the times he defended elite defenders, that was 22.3%. So you got to give Tobias some credit for that. You have to give him credit for that. And I felt like he had a legitimate year. And again, another reason why I'm expecting Tobias to do big things. Now, as far as the Sixers go, we always talk about the team. And if I want to say there's going to be a guy who could probably have a breakout year, not a breakout, but a guy who can have another big year, I think it's going to be the Anthony Melton. I do. And Devon Givens and we talked about that before, right? But I think Melton's in a similar situation. I feel like this is a contract year for him right about now. Some guys are getting paid, some guys aren't, right? He's on that tier of guy where, you know, he was a backup in Memphis. He got traded here. He showed that he can become a situational starter, a part-time starter. And I think that he's going to be a guy that's going to, he can set it up to where he demands money. Now, what I'm talking about is, am I talking about max salary and this and that? No. But when you look at a guy like George Niang who got paid, right, at like 26 million, you look at a guy like B-Ball Paul, got paid. I'm talking about like he could do the same. Seriously. I mean, he's a vital piece to what the Sixers are trying to do. Heck, they're even consider starting him. It might be a smaller lineup, but they're consider starting him. So I think that he's a guy that can have a lot of success, just like Tobias, just like George Niang, and just like Paul Reed. I think that he is a guy that is going to prove his worth when his contract is up. I really do. I like the guy a lot. I feel like that this is going to be a big year for him as well. It is. I really believe that. Now, the thing is, I also would like to see how Nick Nurse could get the most of him, right? Just like Tobias. Because when you look at Nick Nurse, he has some guards, some guys you looked at like Fred VanVleet. Like, Fred wasn't even drafted, right? I mean, you could say to yourself, I bet you 4 years ago, no one knew who he was outside of Toronto or outside of Chicago or right outside of Wichita State, Kansas, right? Um, you know, he got paid. All-star. A guy who had a lot of success. And I feel like, my man, I'm not saying he's going to be an all-star or anything like that. But what I'm saying is the coach was able to do that with one player. So why shouldn't we assume that he can't at least make Melton a better player now, a more enticing player to people? And for the Sixers, that might be something they may have to worry about. Now, again, they are going to have a lot of cap space next year, the following season. When Tobias comes off the books, when Harden comes off the books, they sign a lot of guys to 1-year deals. But at the same time, yes, they want the money to go out and get the superstars. But at the same time, you still got to be able to bring back your people too, right? So, and if Melton has a good season, I think we'll see people throwing some money at him, trying to take him from the Sixers, more than what they feel like the Sixers may be willing to give up for him, But hey, I want to thank y'all for listening. I really do. And I want y'all to have a blessed day, a great day. And stay safe out here. Summertime, a lot of crazy stuff happens, but stay safe and stay cool. Stay cool. What I mean by cool is it's hot outside. So stay cool. All right, y'all. Peace.